Bose is the presenting partner of Beyond the Grid. That's because Bose Quiet Comfort 35.2 goes beyond what you would expect from a pair of headphones. Just flip the switch to experience the industry-leading active noise reduction feature, and all distractions of the world around you fade away, allowing you to focus fully on what matters to you.
Hi, I'm Robert Kubica and you are listening to Beyond the Grid.
Hello everyone, welcome back. It's only been a few days, but here we are with episode 2. And this week I'm joined by Robert Kubica, Poland's first and thus far only Formula 1 driver. Some of you may not know that Bobby K was super quick back in the day and a man destined for great things. That was until a near-fatal rally crash cut short his career and severed his right arm in 2011. But Robert doesn't know the meaning of no, or can't, or pain, and he's fought his way back into Formula 1 as a driver. A more inspirational tale would be hard to find. He told me to meet him in a hotel at Milan Linate Airport. He was passing through the city en route to Lake Como, where he was going cycling with friends, and he said our chat would have to take place at the hotel or on a road bike. So after deciding to do it at the bar, it was ironic that we should have a microphone issue. Thankfully, the recording worked out okay, and what a story. Robert confronts his issues head-on, so get ready for tales of racing Rosberg and Hamilton in karting, his deal with one of F1's mega teams, and his recuperation from that rally crash. I can't think of a more honest and interesting Grand Prix driver, but don't take my word for it. Have a listen for yourselves. Robert, welcome to Beyond the Grid. You're a man who has rammed more into your 33 years on this planet than most people do in a lifetime. It's almost impossible to know where to start with you. Racing driver, you've been through an awful lot physically, but I mean...
Yeah. But honestly, I think we should start from more personal, or let's say what's going on and what went, because probably as a race driver, most of the people know my history and know exactly what I have been doing in the past and what I'm doing now.
Well then, let's start by talking about how difficult it was for you to become a racing driver. You're the first Pole to make it to Formula 1. Is there any racing history in your family? Where did this passion for driving come from?
No, it's a funny story because in the end I have no one was involved in motorsport in my family. My father, who is big fan of racing, he got his license when he was 26 or 25 because before he couldn't afford a car. So it's a bit of combination. I think a passion of my father helped a lot because actually when I get started as a kid in karting, one of strong point of my, let's say, beginnings were that my father had an idea of doing things properly or not doing it. So although I was in Poland, karting was not very popular. For example, he will never pay me paint helmet because he will tell me I save money and I put you 2 sets of new tires more because you benefit more as a driver.
So you had a white helmet?
So actually I raced for 2 years in 1989 with white helmet. And it became like my, highlight. Yeah, but in the end it came from because he said, no, I prefer to spend this money on new tires. I was going to the first race and I was hoping, although my father knew that I'm good, he never told me that I'm good. Actually, in my head, I was hoping to get to the final, to top 34. And I remember first free practice, we have white helmet, green overall, no sponsors, nothing.
How old are you at this point?
13. White plastic, around the cart with only my name. That's it. No sponsors, nothing. Like looking like 10 years behind. all the drivers, Italian, especially Italians, nice helmets painted, mechanics, with the gel on the head, everybody looking like Formula One. I was not allowed to look lap times of classifications, so practically I was just driving. And I go to qualifying, and that track, there was a long straight line with end of straight line, fast corner, flat out, and another straight line to the hairpin. But we had only 2 engines, so I couldn't risk to break one because we have no engines for a race. So what you were doing, choking, there is a filter to just make engine more rich, to don't risk practically I was choking in 3/4 of the flat section. I was choking just for security, to be safe. And I go to first qualifying. There were 2 qualifyings. I go to first qualifying and I forgot to don't choke. So I finish qualifying, we go to the Parc Fermé, we weigh, and I see a screen. And I start looking from the bottom, I go up, and I see myself, I remember still now. I tell you why I remember. And I finish 5th. And then I hear my father screaming from middle of the paddock, what the fuck I was doing, because I choke. And then I said, oh no. And and it was so mixed emotions because I was so happy, but on the same time I knew I fucked it up, and my father was quite upset. So what happened? Second qualifying, you didn't have any more four new tires. You have only 2 because the total was 6, and I was the only one who improved lap time, and I qualified on pole. But only thanks...
And you were beating which drivers? Give us some names of the guys.
Everybody who is...
So, did you beat Rosberg?
Yeah, I beat Nico, I beat Luis, I beat many drivers. In the end, from my generation, then I won Italian Championship, I won German Championship, I won 2 times Italian Championship. I never won a European Championship or World Championship, but yeah.
So what made you, obviously an incredibly successful karting career, but what made you kart in Italy as opposed, why didn't you go racing somewhere else?
Because it was strongest championship.
Okay.
And that's why, coming back to what I said before, my father always say, or we do things properly, or we don't do them. So practically he chose Italy because in the end most of the biggest teams, best championship, best names are happening in Italy. And then in the end I become a CRG driver, official driver, and I was betting in engines to Nico. Because
Nico Rosberg.
Rosberg, because he was running using same chassis and the same material. And at that time you have to bet in engines for 45 minutes. And you have average 5 engines per weekend, because races were very long. It starts on Tuesday, many heats, many free practice. So actually it took me 10 hours to just bet in my engines and his engines, and he was coming with everything ready. And the funny thing is, we met in Silverstone and we have a discussion about all days, and I tell you, do you even remember? No, he told me, how you can remember those things? And I tell you, you know why? Because I was doing it for you. So I know he doesn't remember how much you need, because he was not doing it. But I was happy to do it, because in the end for me was...
it's good practice.
No, this was not practice, it was painful, because it means driving 10-15 seconds slower per lap and just be patient to do this 45 minutes, and then also the way you were doing it, it was minimizing then possibility of failures. So you have to do it properly. You couldn't do it, just for fun. But in the end, I was doing what I loved. I love
the idea of you being Nico Rosberg's test driver, even back then.
I remember a few years ago, there was an interview with Dino Chiesa. Dino Chiesa is a top, probably the best, or one of 2-3 the best people. If you want to karting and you want to be sure you have good material and he understands very well karting, his most experience is Dino. I remember I got upset because he did an interview in Karting magazine saying that Nico was technically much better than everybody else, better than me. But in the end, the truth is that most of the technical stuff, or everything for that category, in 98 and 99 I was doing. Nico was coming to races, and he was practically following what we have seen on the tests.
Why were you so good technically so young?
I don't know if I was so good, but I was dedicated, and I was trained by my father.
But your father didn't have. What does your father do for a living? What did he do back then?
He had nothing. But he was, I think, very similar to a way of. I heard many stories of Max and his father. He was quite harsh on him. It was quite similar.
Isn't it extraordinary though the influence your father had on you at the time? And when you started racing in Italy, was the goal always Formula One then, or was it?
I honestly,
it doesn't sound. Arguably, it doesn't sound that much fun because you're under quite a lot of pressure from your dad.
I had so much fun. The thing is, when I started racing in Italy as an official driver, my father was not allowed to enter a tent. He was staying in the grandstand. And actually, when I was 14, I was living in the factory or on the track. So I became very soon independent, which I think was a good school. I think about coming back to Formula One, when I was offered to race in Formula Renault in 2001, and my father told me we go to race in Formula Renault, I start crying. I didn't want to leave karting, because I felt 2000 was not good year for me, and I have to show. I was in love with karting. It was all my life. And because nobody, we couldn't watch Formula One in Poland at that age. I didn't know what's Formula One, honestly. I knew, but I was not following because I couldn't see it on the television.
So what was the goal when you were karting?
Probably the goal was to become as best as possible.
But the sacrifices you made getting to Italy for the races...
Not myself. Everything what I did at that age for me was fun. Right. I was.
When did it become a job?
When I signed with CRG at the age of 13, somehow I become. I didn't become a paid driver, but I become. I was not paying for racing, so I think I was one of few in history that at the age of 13 was not paying to race. And I think I was very lucky because honestly, if I didn't get this offer, probably I will not be here because my parents were struggling with the business in Poland. We didn't have any more money. Actually, my father bought cards. He took money from bank to let me race in 98. And I knew probably we'll have to stop. And I will do only one race in European Championship, which was middle of the year, but we couldn't afford all championship. But fortunately, I did very strong start of the season, and this opportunity arrived.
But it's funny how many future Formula One stars do start their careers in karting, and you raced everybody. And Lewis Hamilton,
he will not like it, but it's a bit true.
But Lewis Hamilton, you raced,
and I have a proof in Silverstone when he didn't know how long.
Yeah, he was just the arrive and drive, have it all done for him. Yeah. But what about Lewis? Can you remember the first time you met him? How quick was he?
Yeah, Lewis was racing with Top Car. It was a company near Parma. He was racing with them. Everybody knew because he was already a McLaren driver at that age. And he was very strong, especially there in Parma. But I destroyed, I think, twice his races there. He was very strong.
Destroy? What do you mean? You crashed into him?
No. I won.
You were okay.
Yeah, but not because I was faster. Because there were some tricks. So practically, I knew I have to qualify in hits in front of him. Because if he would qualify first, he will disappear. There was no chance.
So he was very fast.
Yeah, at that circuit, it was once one of the most representative and most famous tracks in Parma. Now not existing anymore. But that company had something on the track. And probably I discovered. Don't ask me how, but I discovered. So I knew they have some modification in carburetor. And I was 14. I knew they are it was not cheating, but they modified a carburation. But there was one risk. If you go too slow in formation lap, he will, I don't know how to call it, practically the spark plug will become too wet, too much fuel into the carburation, and you have not enough full throttle to clean it, and his engine will be off.
Almost flood the engine.
Yeah. So I had to qualify in the heats in front of him. So then I will be the guy who will do speed on formation lap in order to get to the grid. And what I was doing, practically fully closed carburetor, so there was little fuel coming in, and the pipe from the fuel tank to the carburetor, I was squeezing it. So practically I was running the engine with no minimum fuel. Sometimes even I could feel the engine was dying because it had no fuel, like whoa. So I opened it, and 2 races he didn't start, and I won.
That's a great trick. You wily old sod at the age of 14.
Yeah, I won 2 races.
Was Lewis a good guy? Was he a friend back then?
Yeah, we were good friends, yeah. Very good friends.
Did you get up to no good?
No, we always get good. But then, for example, after karting, he went to Formula Renault year after than me.
In England.
Then we met for Formula 3 in 2004, I think. So year after, our second year. And we raced together as teammates in Manor in 2004 in Macau.
Who was quicker?
I qualified on pole. And I finished in front of him in the race.
Okay.
I don't know what he did. I think he crashed in the race.
Is Lewis the same guy now that you knew back then, or do you think he's changed? Because some people say he's changed a bit.
You have to ask him.
But your relationship with him, is it the same?
No. But I think it's a combination of environment, of the way we grow up. Yeah. And before we were kids. Now in the end, everybody has different point of view and different way of living, and so it's not only now, but even when 10 years ago when we were racing back in Formula 1, I have big respect of him, and we passed many days together and very funny stories. And actually I met him after 8 years, first time in Monaco in paddock, and it was nice to to see him, but for sure it's not same relationship as we had it 20 years ago. But,
who's the best driver you've ever raced against?
Lewis. Yeah.
Just so fast? Is it speed that stands out?
Well, it depends. Karting, he was very good, but I was not scared of anyone, honestly, in karting. I think in karting, I was probably the one who was going to be beaten, by others. But then in Formula, he was always very good, and Formula 1 in the end, in his rookie year, probably if he would have a bit more experience, he would win it that year, 2007.
We're obviously going to come on to your Formula 1 career, but there's one thing I wanted to touch on, which is it almost never happened, because prior to your first season in Formula 3, you had a road car crash. Yes. And I think maybe a lot of people listening to this aren't aware of that.
Yes.
What happened? How much damage? And were there moments when you thought the dream was over?
Yeah, I had beginning of April a crash in Poland as a passenger, where my arm was heavily broke.
Which arm?
Right, always right. And I was so I missed first 3 weekends of.
What happened in the crash? Just can you give us any details?
The car went off. We had the guy was going too fast, and the one car from secondary road didn't stop on the stop. So, and practically to avoid the car, we went off the road, but there was like 40 meters drop. So I missed first 3 races. Actually, when I came back in Norrisring, I still have a kind of protection on my arm, and nobody was. It was a mix of time. Actually, I recovered very quickly, but I lost a lot of time because in Poland nobody wanted me to actually operate to surgery. They say, no, we will leave you like this 3 months and it will be okay. Actually, they drill my elbow, put like 8 kilos, old style,
8 kilos of what?
of weight to stretch the bones, and it was a nightmare. Actually, it was more painful when they were drilling my elbow. Not painful, but strange. It was like a horror in the film. They come actually with a driller. Like I
you were
use.
conscious. You were conscious.
Yeah. Like I use in the. I was in hospital. Like I use in my workshop, and they come. They okay. They drill. They put a pin through my elbow, the bar, and then I see, and they did a kind of bridge, and then they put, I don't know if it was 8 kilo or something, but big block of weight, and they kept me like this for 10 days, 12 days, and they didn't want to release my X-ray.
Why?
I don't know, for policy or for whatever. They were scared. Nobody wants to surgery. So then we flew to Italy for my medicine, where I was surgery in Lucca near for my medicine. And then I started rehabilitation and building up left arm. And but still, at that time you have a gearbox, a normal sequential, but a stick gearbox. So I have to operate the gearbox and stuff like this. And I came back, and my first race in Norising, I won.
With your arm still in a cast or a protective?
Yeah, it was like 70. It was a bit of So maybe that's why I'm
so
still.
It didn't slow you down, and at no point then did you think it was going to stop you on your journey to Formula 1?
No, I was not thinking of Formula 1.
Even when you were in Formula 3?
No. My goal was only to become as best as I can.
Okay.
Because I didn't know where I would end up. Actually, when I only races in Poland where I could see on the television, and I was big fan of it, was British Touring Car Championship. Okay. It was the years, practically I was watching, I don't know which year was it, I remember the cars were racing. I was watching practically 2 seasons behind. So, for example,
go on, who was winning?
98. Yeah. I was watching Championship of 96.
Okay, so
there was
Ford
Mondeo. There was Megane with I think Menu. Yes. Yeah. There was Volvo with Rydell.
So there was no Volvo. Formula 1, only the British Touring Car Championship in Poland.
And 2 years backwards.
Okay. Yeah, that's 2 years. Yes.
So all championship. But I was I was big fan of touring cars.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, because there was a lot of racing, and that's why I love karting.
Yeah. Okay. So you're still not thinking about Formula 1 when you're doing Formula 3. You then go and win the World Series by Renault. At that point, surely you must have thought, I'm a Formula 1 driver, because you get the test with Renault Formula 1 team as a result. No.
Yes. That was the best ever car I drove.
The best car you ever drove, Formula 1 car you ever drove, was that? So it would have been
2005.
Fernando's first championship.
Yes, but we ran. It was V10 engine, but we ran with 2 cylinders off, because 2006 was the first year where V8 engines were coming into Formula 1. So we ran V8 practically. I remember the only time we have V10 was pit lane, because they didn't have set it up pit lane speed limiter. And I remember once I forgot to switch off to V8 straight away, so I did like 100 meters, 200 meters with V10. Oof, it felt proper. But anyway, everything was, and I remember I came day before, and everybody was testing, and I went. It was still old Barcelona, so 2 last fast corners, and I went there, and with at that time Daniele Morelli, my ex-manager. And he, I think, realized I was scared. And he said, what's going on? I said, I'm not able to do this. It looks too fast. I cannot do this. And then I jumped in the car, and I did it. And I did it extremely well. But I was so lucky to drive that car. If I would have to build up a car around me, probably 90% of that car would be in.
Just so easy to drive?
Yeah, no, it was not so easy. It was built up, because then afterwards I discovered I have very similar way of driving of Fernando with Michelins. So, and the car was designed for Fernando. So I was so lucky And I realized I was so lucky month later when I drove with Sauber. Because once I signed with BMW, the first test I did was 2005 car from Sauber. And it was a shock. Same track, 1 month later. I couldn't do anything what I was doing. I become like completely rookie driver. I was relocking. I couldn't stop the car, and with Renault was so easy.
Can we then just sort of fast forward a bit in that, you know, we go to Montreal the next year, you have that big crash.
Yes.
I think a lot of people listening to this will be aware of, they will have seen pictures, but
They remember more my crash than I think this crash gave me much more publicity is the not correct word, but even people outside of motorsport, they have seen it.
Yeah.
Because it was so unreal.
Yeah.
It was
the analogy. You made more of an impact.
Yeah. It was unreal because it was huge impact against the wall, and I didn't break anything. Actually, the day after in the morning I was out of.
What is it like to go through a 75G impact? I think that's what it was in Montreal.
I think it was even more.
75. What is it?
Whatever. I was lucky. I know the reason why I was lucky. I was lucky because the car was launched in the air, so I got all energy actually in the bottom of the chassis, where in the plank, you know, where you are seated. And if I crash straight away into the wall, it will be a massive.
What were your main injuries? I mean, you say you weren't injured, but I mean, your neck must kind of been.
No. That's why I say it was something strange. I remember I woke up. Actually, doctors woke me up like 4 a.m. just to make me a test of stability recognitions, because I remember first I got to the hospital, and the doctor came. He saw the accident, and I say I have nothing. I'm fine. And they say it's impossible.
Yeah, he's mad.
Yeah, he's mad. So we do all X-ray, how you call it? Now I'm missing words. Okay, all tests.
Yeah.
He come to me and he say, you are right. But because I have seen the accident, I have to redo all of them. Because this is...
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it. So after I did second time, it was nothing. I have small kind of... pain here on the feet, ankle.
Your right ankle, you're holding there.
Right ankle, but nothing big. You know, I could walk day after. I took some painkillers, and 4 a.m. when they woke me up, I thought, oh, my neck will be. I tell you, I have more pain after my day one test after winter break. You know, when
in your neck,
with my neck is sore. Then I had it in the. And that was still without... no, it was with Hans. It was first year with Hans. No, second year.
Second year. Yeah, 2-6.
Yeah, without Hans, this would be...
You would have had a sore neck, wouldn't you?
No, this would be probably game over story.
Oh, do you think? Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's how much the hands helped you.
Yeah.
What a brilliant...
No, Hans, without Hans, I would kiss... Okay, I have long nose, so first I will hit with the nose, but I will kind of, I say kiss the steering wheel, but it will mean, no.
It was one of the best safety developments.
250. Yeah, FIA, 10 years, you move this accident 10 years earlier and we'll not be talking.
But I remember a lot of drivers the previous year who didn't want to wear it. Montoya, Juan Pablo Montoya was making a massive fuss about not wanting to wear it. And...
Yeah, but this saved me a lot. I think my life.
So look, we fast forward and then of course, so the most famous thing you ever did in Montreal was that crash. The second most famous thing you did was go back a year later and win the Grand Prix, your debut Grand Prix. Quite funny that Lewis Hamilton, the guy who used to race with and play table football with, was so intrinsic to that victory, wasn't he, in terms of what happened in the pit lane? Yeah,
but that's a bit of bad thing, because everybody associate my win to this accident.
Oh, damn. Me too.
No, I don't care.
2007, we've talked about.
Yes.
2008.
Yes. Best day.
The best.
And the worst day of my life.
So that victory.
No, worst not, but.
So 2008 victory, you have just described as the best and the worst day of your life, right?
No, it was not. It's not my words. It's the words of the guy I met, mechanic, who I met 3 months ago, and I didn't saw him for 8 years. he told me, "You remember Canada?" I said, "Yeah, of course I remember." This was my racing-wise best and worst days of my life. I said, "Why?" Because it was our end of season, and he was right. I forgot about it.
So what? The moment you won that Grand Prix,
The moment we won Grand Prix, we knew it's our season. We will continue, but it's like we will not develop anymore.
why? Because you were leading the world championship after that race.
But BMW was like a company. The team was run like company. We had a target to win race, and that's it. We won the race. We focused on 2009. There was CARES. BMW was so keen about CARES. It didn't work at all. It never worked.
Right, now, all you folk listening to this, if there's one thing we've learnt about Robert Kubica,
it's 1 hour.
he understands racing almost better than any other driver I've spoken to at length. So, when you won that Grand Prix in 2008, why did you not say to BMW, there's no guarantee that we're going to be able to win the World Championship next year.
This.
We have to challenge now, we have to develop.
Yes, but by knowing this, you go review my press conference after the race.
I think you said we need to keep pushing.
Yeah, but this was a message because I know what will happen. This was a transpicted message to... I couldn't say, I'm worried about that we will stop. I say to all press conference, we have to keep pushing. You have one race, you are leading championship. Why saying we have to keep pushing? It means you are worried that people will stop pushing.
I remember chatting to you in Abu Dhabi at the end of 2009. So it was BMW's last race. They were having a bit of a party in the paddock. I remember it was good fun.
Good fun.
We had good. Yeah, it was good fun. We had a good time. But I remember you. I remember you being very
strange.
It was a strange atmosphere, certainly. But I think you knew already that you were going to be racing for Renault the next year. So you...
I remember also people telling me why I signed Renault where I could sign Toyota, which was true. And then Toyota 2 weeks after retired, pulled away.
You'd had enough of the company politics at BMW by then.
Yeah. I had best my best really 10 months of work was in Renault. And this is another...
That 2010 season.
Yeah, long topic.
Yeah.
We need another hour. Some things were made.
Well, there's one thing that was absolutely clear, is that your reputation within Formula One, I think, was at its absolute height at the end of 2010. You did things with that 2010 car, Renault, that only one or two drivers on the grid could do. So
I don't know, because in the end I was only driving that car. But yeah, I think it's true that my reputation was much higher than like most of the people or some fans. Probably they don't realize it because people who watch the only numbers.
Yeah, you'd only won one race.
Yeah, and but 2010 was. Whew.
Yeah, you were doing great things, and I mean, Robert, it was one of those moments. I remember exactly where I was, what I was doing when I heard about your rally accident in Andorra, and it was. I remember feeling physically sick at. I saw the pictures, and I know you've spoken about this a lot since then, but first of all, why the need?
It's over 1 hour. We say 1 hour. We're good. I don't want to answer.
but Robert, why the need? Why the need for rallying?
That's a good question. I can answer. You remember when I say I was not thinking about Formula One when I was a kid? I was searching or trying to become as best as I can. I was fan of Ferrari, and I'm a big fan of Ferrari, but I was searching something away of Formula One, which will make me become better Formula One driver. So I was trying to learn things which the other drivers, which I'm racing, they don't have it. And I still think in some very little circumstances, very little conditions, thanks to rallying, which I was doing very little, I scored more points in 2010 than if I would not do it.
Why?
Sensibility. Many times happened that I didn't stop to put intermediates. I keep going on slicks that everybody was coming and I gained massive positions. There are those things you cannot see. The only who can judge and who can understand is yourself. because sensibility and sensitivity on steering wheel is only driver can know what he needs. And it's true that I pay a big price, and I'm still paying it, but it was not purely for fun. There was behind something. I was not talking about it, because what really happened is that the desire of becoming a better driver, more complete driver, the desire of finding something which others they don't have, or that I can improve, are my areas where I can improve, because I think every moment we can learn something. I was not happy to be as good as I was. I need more. And I thought rally will give me this. And it really gave me. The problem is that I pay too high price. And the fact is that this was the last rally I was doing in my life. Because I knew that the team I was going to drive next year, I was not allowed to rally. So in the end, it was strange circumstances that I was offered that rally, because the team felt guilty that rallies before I have so much failures with the car, they offered it me. And I remember I woke up in Valencia Wednesday, we were testing, and I said, I don't want to go to this rally. And I called the guy, and he said, I organized tires, road. He was so happy that he organized everything that I didn't tell him that I don't want to go.
Why didn't you want to go?
I don't know. I woke up and I say...
Just a gut feeling?
I say, it was after the test. I took flight. I have to fly to Milan, drive here, drive there. I said, I don't want to do it. And then it happened. That's it.
I just need to pick you up on something else you just said then. The team you were going to drive for the following year was not going to let you rally?
Yes.
What team? Was it a red team?
Yeah.
You had signed for Ferrari?
Well, I think it was already published. I mean, it's not something new what I say.
For 2012, you were going to be a Ferrari driver with Fernando Alonso?
Yes.
Extraordinary. So you'd been to Maranello?
I have been Maranello also a few years earlier. But that's another topic.
And you and Fernando had cooked up this plan between you that you were going to go and...
No, I think he didn't know. He was not sure. I don't know if he knew or not.
So you were going to be a Ferrari driver in 2012?
Yes.
Mega money, you were never going to have
No, not mega money. Less money than I had before.
At Sauber?
No, in Renault as well.
Decent company car, at least.
I think there are two things in Formula 1. And maybe because I race in Italy and I see things like this, but or you become world champion. Once you become established Formula 1 driver, because first one, there are 4 goals or 3 goals. First one is to enter Formula 1. Second one is to become established driver in Formula 1. So you have good value, good reputation, which is more difficult than to enter. Third one is, or you win world championship or you become a Ferrari driver. I haven't won world championship. In the end, I haven't become a Ferrari driver, but I was very close. That's it.
And you spent so much of your life in Italy that there's a part of you that's Italian anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think it really put me in advantage of this, because if you look, Ferrari is not so keen to run Italian drivers.
Who was it? Domenicali? Was he the guy chasing you?
Yes, I signed with him.
You signed with Stefano?
Yes.
Wow. But I mean, Robert, so just the psychology of what you had to go through after the accident, knowing that it was a rally you didn't want to do and that you would now not be a Ferrari driver because of the accident.
Yes.
Did that make the whole recovery harder?
No, because my recovery was so hard itself that for first 16, 18 months it was not painful. It didn't hurt because I was fighting. I was concentrating on recovery. I was going through difficult period, but actually more time was going, more difficult was becoming, because the hype of that things can get sorted is disappearing. There were moments where I was recovering extraordinarily good, and there were then months where there were then surgeries that they went wrong, and actually I moved back 6 months instead of improving things. So there were really hard moments that somehow they use 100% of yourself, so you don't have time to think of, I could be in that car. When I was watching Formula 1, I was missing Formula 1 racing. I was not missing that. I never saw it like, I could be in that car. It was more, miss of what was your life. In the end, in the end it was painful, but it was not more painful because I knew I was going to race for Ferrari. But in the end, it is additional pain now.
So how many different operations did you have?
I say one thing, nobody knows.
Someone
I said in one interview, more than F1 races in one season.
So more than 20?
Yes.
And not all of them helped, some actually set you back?
Yes.
And mentally, how tough was it? Is it?
It is not anymore tough. The day I don't know how to say, I accepted that, because the most difficult thing is that you make your life hard because you try to do things like you were doing them before. But with my limitations, most of the things you cannot do them. But it doesn't mean like same way. But it doesn't mean you cannot do them at all. And this was a bit Formula 1 thing. Because now, everybody, after last year, there were heroes who came to me say, why so late? I think even Sebastian, someone to show me interview, say he doesn't understand why I tried so late.
To come back?
Yes, but I had possibility to drive Formula 1 car 3 years earlier, but I was not ready for it.
But you were able to do rally?
Yes, rally I was able to do. But rally, it was my rehabilitation. It was so painful I went to DTM, Valencia, 2013, January. Same track that I tested Formula 1 car for last time. Nobody thinks about it. But only to see this paddock, which I have image of being here for Formula 1, it was painful. So I enjoy driving, but the time I get to the hotel, the whole thing starts back. Thinking, Valencia, Formula 1, blah, 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 blah. Was not good. So I say, okay, let's change completely. I still do what I like, driving, and rally environment is completely different. Nobody knew me there from before. I don't know anyone. Many people also from social life. I lost contact with everybody, but it was my medicine. It was the only way I could came out from what I was. One day I realized that it was what I was missing. Since I stepped in Valencia paddock when Renault offered me a test last year, it's like different person.
So
it gave me, I become more quiet inside myself before, and then I say, well, this is what I was missing. The only, and I feel happy that I tried. Then outcome, and I say every time we met with Cyril before the first test, with Paddy before first test or Claire before first test with Williams, I always said, first of all, you have to be sure that you want to do it. Second of all, I think I can do it, but of course, because of my limitation, I have to show it. And every time I was testing, I was becoming more secure and more sure that I can do it. But nobody knew what will be the outcome. And when I tried it, it was like all in. Or will work, or I have to forget about it.
So mentally for you, that first test with Renault at Valencia, was it just a gift from them to you to say...
I think... I don't... Maybe gift, yeah. I don't know. I don't think, I didn't get the impression it was a gift. Because if I get the impression it was a gift, I would never take it. But the acceleration all story had after this was for sure not planned. Because it has been intense. Because everybody associated last year as a great year for me. But it was very intense period. And I remember there was one comment, one person came to me and say, you know why Renault didn't take you? Because they discover you are releasing steering wheel in turn, before last corner for a bit. And my answer was, because I learned one thing. I have to be honest with myself and with everybody else, with my limitations. And my answer was, well, if they see only this, then it means that I am hiding very well my limitations. But the only person who knows if they are limiting myself or not is me. I say to Cyril and to Alan Permain, Cyril Abiteboul, in the first meeting I say, I cannot guarantee you, because they told me you have X sets of tires, you have 100 laps, whatever. You go for it. And I say, yes, but there is a small chance that if I don't feel comfortable, I stop after a few laps. And I'm not anymore 20 years old kid who has to show that I can do it. So there is a risk. I guarantee you that if I don't feel comfortable with it, I will not do it because I have to, because I don't have to, And in the end, it turned out to something more. But when it's turned it out to something more, it becomes there is more doubt. I still think at a certain point Renault was thinking to put me in the car
to race.
Yes, some people I think, but then there was one reality. That until I was testing 2012 car, I think I could race easily. I was pretty sure I would deliver very good. When I jumped in Hungary 2017 car, there was so big expectations. But the facts are, the focus was on my arm. If I go off, it's not because it can happen, or because it's an arm. So I have to step back a bit. I cannot do silly things. And I have to learn everything. Whatever I knew from my racing time and from 2012 car, which was very similar to what I knew, I had to reset it. Everything is different.
Because the cars are so much quicker?
No, it's not about speed. It's about the way you drive, the way they feel, the way they react, even the size.
Yeah, longer, yeah.
No, longer, wider.
And wider, yeah.
You are sitting in the middle, but those centimeters you have to take, and there are many things, but people thought I will jump in and I will be 2010 driver. Well, probably with 2012 car I could do it because it was so similar to what I knew. But the worst is that in Hungary I couldn't use anything what I know from my past. I had to. It's like a debut. That you put rookie driver in the car with the history of Formula 1 of one of the top drivers when he was racing. So you pretend something mega, but he is rookie, because I was rookie. One of my strongest points were long runs. I think I could race that car week after and I will finish on points. I struggled in the first lap to extract because I didn't know the tires, I didn't know where car can, but this will come naturally. But the long runs were good. And then you read sometimes when you hear that I cannot do it physically.
It was hot, that test as well.
Hot. Oof.
But Robert, can you look me in the eye and tell me that you are the same driver that I knew back in 2010?
Same driver? I cannot tell you. But I think I'm better in some areas. I cannot tell you.
With experience?
Yes, but 2010 I was coming after 4 years, full 4 years of racing. By stopping, you cannot tell you. But I can tell you that I think if this was a beginning, it can get only better and big time. I don't know where, but I don't think I'm lacking performance, honestly. But, because of my limitations, it's not enough I do same as the others. I have to do more. To do more, I have to have time in the car. That's why I was so fundamental for me to, when Williams offered me a rule this year, that I have some time in the car. But I don't want to show to the others. I'm searching answers for myself. But I know them. I know my answers.
You've obviously had to adapt the steering wheel and
but steering wheel.
But I mean, is your right arm?
Yeah.
You've got a good handshake, but he looks a bit of a passenger in all this, or is he not?
It is passenger when it has to be passenger. Is working when it has to work.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a limitation when
it is making my life harder, more difficult. But if you want, we can organize next week 70 laps race. You put whatever driver in the same car and see.
Yeah, let's put everyone with a white helmet on and see how.
Yeah, stick.
Yeah, sticking. Yeah. But so look, you're now back in Formula One. What is the end of the story? Where is it going? Do you want to race for Williams in 2019? Is that the goal?
I want to race. I want to be on the grid next year. With who? I don't know. With someone, whatever. The fact is.
And what have you got to do to convince people?
I don't know.
You need time in the car.
But I don't.
And do you get better every time you drive?
I don't know if I get better, but it's becoming more natural. It's like with tennis players, whatever sport, motorsport. We often forget that it's a sport. You need to practice. You need to do it. The best you do it. The moment you do it the best of your height is when you are high, is when you do it naturally. It needs to become natural, like drinking a glass of water. You don't put extra force or attention when you are drinking water. It's the same thing.
Okay. Are you right or left-handed?
I was right, but now I'm left.
And how difficult has it been to how's your writing with your left hand? My
writing is very limited because we don't write anymore in current days.
Yeah, it's true.
It's. I never practice. I never train. If I train, probably I will become as good as I write. Because in the end, when we learn, we start from zero. When we are kids, we start from zero. So somehow I started from zero when I was 30-something. Oh no, yeah, whatever, 20-something. I'm old, but not that old.
Well, you're in your prime, according to Jackie Stewart. He always says that drivers in their early 30s is when you have that combination of you're still young enough and hungry enough, but you have the experience as well.
Yeah, I really think it's not because I'm in this age, but I think when you are 20, you think you know everything, and when you are 30, you realize that when you were 20, you didn't know a lot.
True. Well, when you're 40...
I don't know.
Yeah, I can tell you that. Do you think you'd be doing a better job in the Williams than Stroll and Sirotkin?
I cannot answer this question. Not because I cannot and I don't want, but because physically you cannot judge it.
Well, your performance during Barcelona FP1?
Yes, was good.
Did the team value your feedback?
I don't know. You have to ask Tim.
I mean, they had some new bits on the car, I think. Did you run a new floor or something? I can't remember.
I ran old and new, but in the end...
Old and new.
But in the end, in the race, one car used old. It was not floor Delta. It was not the floor magic. There is no magic in motorsport. But in the end, it's not that Barcelona, where I was, I think, very fast, and Abu Dhabi, where... for most of the people I was very slow. I'm still the same people, same driving, and in the end it's a question of approach, it's a question of what is the target and what's your personal target, is a question of feeling of, you can have better days, worse days. So. And it's often the question in Formula 1 of how you sell things. But I think Barcelona was very important, not for me. For the people who thought that Abu Dhabi was I was missing more than 1 second.
As in it proved that you weren't? Abu Dhabi Test at the end of last season.
Yes.
We're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, Robert, thank you so much for that. What a fascinating chat. What a infectious passion for motorsport you have. When the driving days are done, do you think you'll be done with motorsport, or do you think you'll be getting involved in management? Do you think you'll...
This is a topic which came out lately many times with different people. Not even from some... I was asked lately from one high-level person from different team.
Okay.
And where I see myself.
Okay.
Because he thinks I could do well in running the team or something. I say I'm not capable of doing it because I have no experience. And I'm very demanding on myself. This comes to from when I was kid, when I was in Formula 1, to always become better and better. And the way I'm happy is only when I'm really on the high level. And for sure, I'm big racer. I understand quite a lot. I think running my own team, because not a lot of people knows that in last season, most of the last season, I was running my own team in WRC, racing against factories with 2 small vans, 6 persons, and I was fighting against teams which had 20, 30 times of bigger budgets. But this was a good experience.
So you do have some experience.
Because I realized, yes, how difficult it is, and I don't want to have this headache.
It's a proper job.
It is not easy to run so many people, and Formula 1 is a tough business. But but my first answer is that I feel like still a racing driver, although I know I'm not racing. But until there is a wish of driving, I have to try, and I think it will be too easy. That's a good thing. I think really it will be too easy to give up. It was so hard, but now it's even more difficult. The last step is the hardest one. People think it was difficult last year. No, the hardest one is the last one. But to give up before trying everything. And I'm not saying I have to try everything. You never know in your life. So I'm using my opportunities in the test, not about lap times, but about what I can give to the team. Okay, this is only seen in Williams, but in the end, people, as many people thought that I was 1 second off after Abu Dhabi, people are talking for one. So. And I think already in Barcelona, people realize that, when I'm talking that I can do it, is because I really think and feel I can do it. It's not because at the age of 33, after having, I have more to lose than to win coming back to Formula 1. Because if I don't deliver, I will be the first one who failed. And I don't want to fail anymore. Very simple.
Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Big Guy.
Thanks.
That last line from Robert, I don't want to fail anymore, completely got me. Words that totally encapsulate the man that is Robert Kubica, a fighter, someone who never gives up. And it's not a surprise that he's an inspiration to so many people around the world. Next week, we're chatting to another F1 legend, so please subscribe to make sure you don't miss out. And you know the drill. Rate, review us. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favourite podcast app. And if you want to get in touch, please drop us a line using the hashtag F1BeyondTheGrid. And if you want to cyberstalk me, I'm at Tom Clarkson F1. Beyond the Grid is produced by F1 in association with Audio Boom. Until next time, keep it flat out.